Hey guys, thanks for stopping by the channel. Today is February 22nd, and yesterday there was a news conference with Poilievre at a local health food shop. I don't really know where it was, but a pretty sensitive topic came up, which was men transitioning to women using women's spaces. Now, this has been a touchy subject for some time. The person that really paved the way to opening this conversation was Danielle Smith out in Alberta with her legislation against minors being surgically altered and gender blockers. So that was an interesting situation because when I first heard that announcement on Twitter, I think it was, I was expecting a massive fallout as a result of that, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I honestly thought they were going to burn down half of Alberta, but it wasn't bad. But it did something very positive for the Conservatives in that it kind of demonstrated to Danielle Smith and obviously Pierre Poilievre that there was a lot more support for the conservative mindset, at least in terms of safe spaces and just having enough of the LGBTQ woke agenda. We've come to the place now where I think the pendulum has finally swung to the left a little bit too long, but that pendulum now has started to swing back towards the right. And something that's kind of interesting is I enjoy watching facial expressions. Now, I am not trained. I am not an expert. I am nothing. I just enjoy watching facial expressions. And as we go through this question and how Poilievre answers, is actually kind of cool to watch his facial expressions as we go through it. It's also worth noting how they manipulate the camera. So as the question is being asked, you're going to see them zoom in on his face. So it's important, I'm not doing that. That's not a part of my software. That is a part of the press conference. Watch this, and I'm gonna stop in and I'm gonna chime in a couple of times through this, but it's just really interesting to watch. So check this out. Switching cameras.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. David Menzies with Rebel News. Mr. Poilievre, for the last few years, our news organization has been covering what can only be described as a war on women. Biological males are pretending to be females, and these men are invading female safe spaces. This includes female...
So right about now, I don't know if you pick up on it, but start watching his expressions, his posture and his movements. He's a little unsure of himself, but at the same time, he's very certain of himself. It's just a little bit of a move away from the typical Pierre.
Sports ranging from volleyball to rugby. As well, men pretending to be women are gaining access to female shelters and even female prisons. This has collectively led to real women and girls being emotionally abused, physically injured, and...
Now, I didn't do this.
My question, sir, is should you form the next federal...
For some reason, at that specific moment, it got cut. I don't know why, but this is a part of the main feed.
Federal government, will you make female safe spaces safe again by introducing legislation that bans so-called transgender women from participating in female sports and getting access into female shelters and female prisons?
Female spaces should be exclusively for females. Not for biological males. You ask if I introduce legislation on that. A lot of the spaces you described are provincially and municipally controlled. So it is unclear what federal legislation what reach federal legislation would have to change them. But obviously, female sports, female change rooms, female bathrooms should be for females, not for biological males. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
So that's it. We now have two major conservative players in Canada that have come out, shown their colors, and stepped out boldly in terms of, I don't even want to say that it's conservative values, because I honestly, I think for me, like when you go and you talk to conservatives, like I'm conservative, and most, if not all of my friends are conservatives. But when you talk to them, there's nobody that actually holds any harm or resentments towards the LGBTQ community. We're at the place now, I think, where we just want to be left alone. We're getting tired of hearing about it constantly and being battered with it constantly and seeing it in the schools and seeing these really creepy individuals reading stories to our kids and parents that are terrified to step out and say, no, I'm not interested in this. I think we're tired of seeing 50-plus-year-old men going into little girls' change rooms. It's just, we're at a place where we've had enough, and we just want to be in a place where we can have our safety and our community, I don't even want to say back, just to be left alone. So it's just, I find it really, this is cool. This is cool. We're finally coming to the place where we're asserting ourselves and saying, look, there's boundaries here. And you're not going to have free reign over everything. You're not going to be able to change everything. You're not going to be able to participate in everything. It's just the way it is. You're not going to do it. There's an interesting thing that I've really started to notice, especially about this community and sports. I have yet to hear of a female that's transitioning to male looking to participate in all male sports. Like, there is a real lack of continuity here. We hear about men who are stronger. We know that. We've heard it, we've seen it, we've talked about it, but they're typically stronger than men. They're transitioning to women, and now they're getting involved in women's sports, and they are absolutely dominating. We're not seeing the same thing with the females. I would love to see the UFC, that a woman transitioning to a male get involved in that. We don't see it yet. Maybe we will, but certainly not to the point that we are seeing it with males transitioning to females. But anyways, I could go down this road for hours and hours and hours. I wanted to show this video because I'm proud of Pierre and what he did. I am proud of Danielle and what she's done, and I stand behind them, and I hope we're going to see some big changes, and just balance, Listen, thanks for watching, and if I've earned it, hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe, but only if I've earned it. Thank you so much for watching.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. Andrew Lawton, True North.